Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So another day of Tesla falling, of course. I mean, I think at this point, to really no one's surprise, Tesla down, believe it or not, another 11.5% essentially. That is something else. It really is. But yeah, down pretty much 11.5% to $109.09. That is so real. So at this point, because we couldn't hold the 112, I mean, there's still some slight hope that we can hold this general area, as you can see, right, as we're kind of around this level right here. There's still some definite, support coming in right here that we can bounce right off this general area. If not, though, and if we don't bounce pretty much right away tomorrow, we most likely will be coming down to pretty much about $102 to $100, something like that, give or take. And that's at this point going to be most likely the play, or like the area to go to. And if we come to $100, let's say tomorrow or something like that, I will personally be getting calls and swinging calls, because at this point this is just getting kind of ridiculous, in all honesty. A bounce is surely due. This is first and foremost, nothing I say is financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research, all that stuff, blah, 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 right? Tesla has literally, in the history of its trading, never been this oversold. Now, even on the daily, it has never in its entirety, and I mean its entirety, from start to finish, or I guess from start to now, it's never been this oversold, ever. Ever. That's on the weekly, of course, right? The 4 hour, I'm not sure if the 4 hour. The 4 hour is like pretty much down on the most oversold levels. The weekly, you can see, is substantially oversold compared to pretty much ever before. Let's check out them. I haven't checked the monthly yet. The monthly is pretty much approaching the most oversold level. It's just barely off of it. The only other time Tesla was this oversold was all the way back in 2019 of May, apparently, which was all the way down here, right, like pretty much like a couple months right before the absolute skyrockets. And Tesla's pretty much at that level of being oversold. So yeah, let's talk about it, guys. I mean, this is just absolutely just, man, no holds barred. This is just brutality, absolute brutality, just straight up destruction. And it sucks, man. I'm not gonna lie, it's hurting. I'm just sitting here honestly waiting out the storm. I'm weathering out the storm. That's essentially all I can do at this point, because at this point I know it keeps falling every single day, but in theory, like logically, the risk versus reward for hedging or buying puts or just essentially betting on the downside is so bad, but somehow it still finds ways to keep falling, even though in theory it's extremely bad to hedge here, or to just bet on the downside, I guess, because if you wanted to bet on the downside, there was plenty of time to do that up here. You don't want to do it when it's already fallen this much, in theory, of course, but Tesla's always, of course, finding ways to surprise us. You can see another substantial volume today, almost like as much volume as 2 days ago on a Thursday, I believe it was. So thankfully this week is a shorter week, so hopefully I get to deal with this a little bit less. But we've had obscene amount of red days in a row. Other than this, okay, we had one green day, but let's just say, so okay, in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 trading days, 10 of them have been red, and it's been exceptionally red. Like, it's not even a little bit red. In the last 10 trading days, we have dropped 38% in the last trading days. 38%. 11 days, we have dropped 40% in the last almost 2 weeks of trading, or about 2 weeks of trading, including just, the weekends and whatnot. 40% in half a month, essentially. That is something else. I must say, that is something special. That is ridiculous. Now, but let's talk about it, right? What does it all mean? When is this thing bouncing? Like, when is this thing going to get some life into it? Because, how much can something fall before at least some bounce, at least something, right? Well, it's hard to say, other than the fact that, well, if we don't get a bounce, I don't know, I meant to do that. I don't know, whatever. Essentially, if we don't get a bounce like immediately tomorrow, this thing is going to be absolutely cratering down to about 100, potentially even 90. But I would personally expect 100 to finally be, if not right now, 100 needs to be the bounce, right? That's a beautiful psychological level. It's just, I mean, you can only get so much red before at least some form of relief rally or some form of green or something, because just as much as you can go up only, you can't go down only. That's just not how it works. But in this case, it really feels like it is, right? But nonetheless, keeping a cool head, keeping a level head, just looking at it as is. again, like I always say, once you break a certain level, you go down to the next one, and so on and so forth, until you finally get enough support and demand and whatnots, right? So like I said, if we don't get a bounce pretty much exactly where we close today ish, we will be dropping down to about $102 to $200, somewhere in that range. And that personally, if we do get there, let's say tomorrow, for instance, or even this week, maybe, I don't know, Thursday or whatever, Friday, anytime this week, if we ever get to $100, I'll be personally getting a call. Nothing too crazy. I'm not going to go completely YOLO, obviously. Just a small kind of, for fun, if you will, as I'm just personally waiting for the true bounce for this market, or for Tesla rather. So then I can finally hopefully send or sell some covered calls on this bad boy. But yeah, so if we do get a bounce, let's say, right, if we do get a bounce, right, looking on the weekly, that's the easiest way for us to determine potentially where the bounce will get. But you can see what happened the second we broke. First of all, the head and shoulders pattern at 180. The second that thing broke, all hell broke loose, essentially, right? The second we couldn't hold this thing anymore, like around this 176, 180, like right around this general level all the way up here that we've been talking about way before, we just completely crashed. Like that level right there was apparently just that important, and the second we broke it and we had the candle close and everything, it just completely collapsed. The stock just essentially lost all of its footing and just essentially crashed. It quite literally crashed. This is absolutely a crash. It is what it is. But if you look at the weekly, let's just remove this for now, right? I mean, we also fell out of the blue line, so even more pain, of course. But taking all that aside for now, just looking at the straight weekly, which is just absolutely brutality. If we do get a bounce, let's say here, or maybe at 100, personally, my level that I'll be looking for, which I know sounds at this point probably insane to even believe for it to go up that much, but I personally wouldn't be surprised if we do get a bounce, believe it or not, up to maybe 166, all the way as high as even 180, which would be an insane drop from this general level. That would, or a rally, which would be pretty much around a 60%-ish, give or take, rally from here, which of course is insane. Will it actually happen or not is of course the question. But you can see, as I always say, previous support is demand, and usually when you break it, you want to retest it. That's extremely common. We also have a gap over here all the way at 123, which is insane that we're even that low. But because we finally broke under this kind of 176, 180-ish level, and we finally collapsed under, and you can see what happened when we did that. That of course acted as a massive crucial support, which again broke, came below it. Now, in theory, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla does come up to retest what was old support, now most likely going to be new resistance, somewhere around this general level, probably retest that, and then either come down for potential double bottom at like $100 right around this level, which is kind of where we are at right now-ish, or ultimately make new lows and potentially come all the way down to about $70-ish, give or take. And that would be, in my opinion, the bottom for Tesla if it ever comes down there, which sounds absolutely insane. Sounds like the deal of a century. It very well might be, but that is essentially what, in my opinion, are the possibilities. So essentially, kind of reiterate, 3 paths, in my opinion, that we take. Path 1, so there's essentially a very, there's an extremely bullish, slightly bullish, and fairly bearish. The fairly bearish one is the one I just said, right, where we rally up, most likely retest, potentially 160s to 180s, somewhere in that general level. Honestly, even more bearish would be just only 150, and then that's all we get, and then we just go even lower. That would be like the ultra bearish. The pretty bearish would be up to around the 160s to 180s, most likely get rejected, and then at the very least come down to double bottom, if not all the way down to 60. And then the bullish thing, which I think the probability at this point is really low, though maybe because it feels so unlikely it'll actually happen, though I still doubt it, would be essentially we base, come up, go up all the way to $200. So essentially we come down, base around here, rally up to 200 where we were before, get rejected, come back down, find support at this area again, and then we rally, and then essentially make a potential inverted head and shoulders. That to me is like the ultra, like the bullish scenario, the bullish case, which I personally think has most likely by far the least probability, unless something crazy happens fundamentally with Tesla, which, I mean, in theory is possible. Again, in a market like this, you never know. The chances of that, in my opinion, are by far the lowest, but not zero. But those are essentially the 3 paths I personally foresee coming in the next, several months, right? The ultra bullish side, or the pretty damn bullish, the bearish, and then the very bearish, right? The very bearish being 150, and then rally downwards all the way to 65-ish, and then of course the somewhat bearish is we rally up to maybe 160 to 180, and then most likely get rejected, and then either come down for a double bottom at pretty much more or less around this current level, or make our low to 66 as well, right? So that's kind of what I'm seeing, guys. But either way, stay safe, Stay out of debt, ladies and gentlemen. Stay out of margin. For love, all that is holy. Remember, this is why I was saying this all the way back here too, guys. Just please, in the market like this, you don't want to be in margin. Not financial advice. Make your own decisions. I'm not a financial advisor, whatever. All that bullshit. But guys, this is where people will quite literally ruin their lives being on margin. And yeah, just easiest thing to do: hold shares, common shares. Worst case scenario, you wait it out. There's no time limit, nothing like that whatsoever, like options are, for instance, as well. You just wait. You can wait as long as you need to. And then that's personally what I'm doing myself. So all that being said and done, absolute brutality, guys. Hang in there. I know it's tough. It sucks. I personally I try not looking at it too much, in all honesty. It helps a bit, and I have a lot of distractions as well, so I'm not too worried about it personally. But yeah, it sucks. It hurts. It blows quite a bit, I will say. It does definitely blow, and it definitely hurts. But it is what it is, and I think this is something that we will definitely remember, like in several years from now. And yeah, I think it'll be quite the ride. So yeah, all that being said and done, guys, let me know what you think down below. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one. Until then, peace.